ghost hunter shows. Years and years. Celebrity ghost hunter. All around the world. Thousands and thousands of hours of footage. They've never seen a fucking ghost. It's all like, oh, what was that? Was it that I was just a... No, not the... What did you hear that? Was it just... Oh, was it you? Oh, no. Imagine if wildlife programmes were like that. Imagine watching David Attenborough all these years and everybody goes, here, on Kilimanjaro, we see the... Oh, no. And by the banks of the Limpopo, the elusive... Oh, that's not... You'd stop watching the pedo hunter shows, on the other hand. There's usually a couple in the crew just in case. You know what I mean? Particularly if it's a BBC production.
Oh, shut up.
That's the thing, though, with heroin. You know, try anything once, kids, sure. But know this, right? No. You think, I'll try heroin. I'll just try one. Give me one heroin, okay? Just have one. Oh, what's it like? Oh, it's fucking lovely. I want more. I can't just tap. It's like Pringles. Once you pop, you can't stop. Believe it or not, I've never been a heroin addict. No round of applause for that. See? No round of applause for never having been a heroin addict. If I don't come out here and go, yeah, I used to be a heroin addict. I used to mug people and shit myself in doorways. Exactly. Oh, yeah. He hasn't done those things for a while. He hasn't done those things that we never did in the first place. Why are you applauding someone for suddenly acting like a normal member of society? It's like, I've lost a bit of weight. I've lost about 20 pounds. Exactly. What? No. You're basically applauding me for only eating as much as I need now. I should have always been doing that. I got fat because I was a greedy, lazy bastard. They come to me now and they go, oh, well done, you look great. But they weren't telling me I looked terrible. They're basically saying I look terrible. I needed waiters to come over and go, fuck off, you've had enough. I fell back in love with stand-up on my last tour, Humanity. I played arenas around the world. Netflix bought it for a record amount. It was the most watched special of the year. I thought, everyone loves me now. Everyone loves me now. Then I got this tweet. Real tweet. Call yourself a comedian? He knows I do. Literally says the word in my Twitter bio. Call yourself a comedian? You're about as funny as... Now, I thought he was going to go for the jugular and say Miranda. Or... Come on, guys. Don't... I'm joking. Right. Call yourself a comedian. You're about as funny as a fart at a baby's funeral. He was trying to hurt my feelings. But his big mistake was choosing someone that would be fucking hilarious. As if that would... A fart at a baby's funeral. Big echoey church. Everyone just silently sobbing like that. Tiny little coffin. Tiny little coffin. And someone farts, you'd laugh. Even if it was your baby. You know, no. If you're at the funeral, it's been dead a week, do you know what I mean? You're probably up for a giggle. Particularly if you're the father. If you're the mother, you probably still find it hard seeing the funny side of things. No, you don't have children. I say, no. I say, why don't you have children? Which is a really odd question to ask someone, why don't you have children? As opposed to asking people, why do you have children, right? People say, oh, it's selfish to not have children. How can it be selfish to not bring a life into the world that doesn't exist on any level? It's not as a long sort of cabinet full of potential ghost fetuses going, we want to be born, right? But I've thought about it, and there's 3 reasons I don't have children, okay? 3 main reasons I don't have children, and I'll share them with you. Okay, here they go. 3 reasons, right? 1, there's millions. The world's overpopulated. No one's sitting around going, oh, Rick's not having kids, we're going to run out. 2, kids are scroungers, aren't they? I mean, from day one, it's all me, isn't it? Feed me, clothe me, pay for my chemotherapy. No, not my problem, son. Luck of the draw, boy, luck of the draw. It's like a little holiday flying to the States, right? I could do without the safety video. That's always a bit of a downer, right? And totally pointless. If you go into the side of a mountain at 500 miles an hour, the brace position does fuck all. Imagine if that worked, right? You're going down, right? The flames smash, you go, I'll try it, right? You do that, ball of flames, you wake up, everyone's dead, except you go, fucking hell, that's amazing. That is... And if we're watching telly, me and Jane, if it gets in our lap, we think, oh, that's such a privilege, we don't move. Even if we need a wee, we don't want to disturb it. The other one gets the drinks all night, you know, and people say to me, you spoil that cat. I go, yeah, I do. It's a cat. It's not a person. What's the worst that can happen if you spoil a cat? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't grow up to be fucking Boris Johnson. It's... No, I don't get political. Although he is out of his depth. I mean, he started off by saying women in burqas look like post boxes. Now, it's not up to Boris Johnson what a Muslim woman wears on her face. It's up to her husband. Not my rules. Not my rules. This won't be in the special.
Ricky always says what we're all thinking but too afraid to say out loud. Stay tuned, his next point is even more bold.
If I ever get cancer myself, I'm going to go into the nearest hospital and go, right, I paid for that machine. Get that little bald f***er off it. Talking of little bald f***ers, I did the teenage cancer gig, what? And I was doing the gig last year, and I looked down and I recognised one of them. I thought, oh yeah, he came backstage 2 years ago, he was telling me about his illness and he said he was 18. And that was 2 years ago, so now he must be 20. So why the f*** is he still a teenager? Lying little shit. He wasn't lying about the cancer, he was riddled with it. It hurt him to laugh, but he shouldn't. And I was doing the gig and he was laughing along and I was thinking, yeah, you laugh it up, mate. I was fuming. And it got too much for me, I'm human. So I went, all right, mate, I recognise you. I went, yeah. Came backstage 2 years ago, I went, yeah. You said you're 18 then? He went, yeah, so you're 20 now? He went, yeah. I said, get out. I called the security. He struggled, but he was weak. They'd worked out. Although they had trouble getting hold of him to start with, and his drip nearly had someone's eye out. The crowd started booing. I went, hear that? They don't want to see someone like you take the piss out of me. People quiz me on Twitter when they find out I'm an atheist. They go, what, you don't believe in God at all? I go, no. Do you pray? I go, no. They go, why don't you pray just in case there's a God? And I say, why do you put garlic over your door just in case there's a Dracula? Right? And I've got no problem with praying, you know. I know loads of nice Christians and Muslims and Jews, and if one of my family is very ill, they always say, oh, I'll pray for them. And I always say, oh, thanks very much, because it's a nice gesture. If they said, oh, we also cancelled the chemotherapy, I go, don't do that, don't do that. Pray, fill your boots, son, but let's do the praying and the chemotherapy, shall we? Because that's the same result as just the chemotherapy. So let's definitely keep that one, shall we? The other thing is this ridiculous thing of, oh, let's ask the average person what they think. Let's stop asking the average person what they... Do you know how fucking stupid the average person is? We still sell bottles of bleach with big labels on that say, do not drink, right? Let's take those labels off, right? For 2 years, and then have a referendum. I've got a thing about changing rooms, public changing rooms. I always have. I know. I'll tell you why. I don't know if it's the same in ladies' changing rooms, but men are so proud of their offal, right? If I'm in a public place, I have a shower, right? 1 minute, towel, corner, pants on, right? There's blokes walking around naked before the shower, talking to each other, like that, after the shower. There was one bloke in the shower, way too long, right? It was ages, right? And he got out, no towel, just dripping wet, just went up to the mirror and started doing his hair first. I was in there there was just me and this really fat bloke once in the change room. I was getting changed, and he was there, and he was really big, like 350 pounds, right? And he was naked on one of those precision scales. And he was there for fucking ages. And I was looking at that, he was like that for ages. I wanted to run over and go, mate, you're never going to be an astronaut, right? It doesn't need to be this accurate. Just pop some pants on and take a fucking gram off. Of course, the word queer has changed. Again, traditionally, the word queer used to mean someone who was attracted to the same sex as themselves, a gay man. Right? Now, the word queer can mean a straight man who wants some attention. I'm all queer now. I'm right queer now. Yeah. What about your girlfriend? Yeah, she's queer and all. We're just two queers queering each other out. Suck a cock. Nah. No, didn't think so. I'm not that sort of queer. Oh, what sort of a queer are you? Dyed my hair blue. So did my grandmother, and she fucking loved cock, so what we say it. I have no evidence for that. We never had that conversation. Well, I am woke now, and I can prove it. Here you go. I love illegal immigrants. Yeah, sue me now. Sometimes I go down to Dover for the day, right, and I look out, right, and look for a boat, and I see a dinghy with about 60 of them, and I go over here, like, right, and I pull them into shore, and I go, women and children first. They go, there are no women and children. Just you lads, is it? Just, come on, lads. Come on, lads. If I go down there one day and there's no boat, I am absolutely fucking gutted. I just sort of wander into town, and I stand by the traffic lights, and I wait for a big lorry to pull up, right, and I look underneath, and there's a lad sort of clutching like that. And I go, where you headed? And he goes, Gary Lineker's house. I go, it's just down there. It's change, is my point. Like the word handicapped, right? Again, traditionally, that was the politically correct term, the all-inclusive term for cripples and shit, right? But then they went, no, we want to be disabled. They didn't want to be disabled. They said, we want to be referred to as disabled. We don't like the term handicapped anymore. Stop using it. Say disabled. And we went, okay, fine. And that's great. Just tell me the rules. And in fact, I'm a stickler for the rules. Like, if I was on a beach and a woman came running up and went, help, help, my handicapped toddler's drowning, I'd go, sorry, you're what, love? What? My handicapped toddler's drowning and he can't swim. Whoa, do you mean your disabled toddler is drowning? She go, yeah. I go, right, well, it's... Oh, dead. Wasted too much time being woke, didn't I? We're just one species of narcissistic ape. And some people on social media get annoyed when I say we're apes, you know, religious types, Americans. One bloke said to me, speak for yourself, dude, I ain't no ape. And I sent back, well, you are, because we're all apes. He went, nah, what's a gorilla ever done? We've walked on the moon. I sent back, what do you mean we? You've done fuck all. You've spelt moon wrong. It's weird, isn't it, when people take credit for the sort of rest of the species? Because that's what's pushed civilization forward, you know, a few geniuses along the way. Like, there's 8 billion people on this planet. Most of us do nothing. We eat shit and die. Like... If there was a meteor heading towards Earth to definitely destroy it, 4 billion people would get down on their knees and pray to their particular god, and a few hundred scientists would work out how to get Bruce Willis up there to stop it. A child born today can expect to live to about 100. And scientists said soon that'll be 120. And science also said that in the near future, there's no reason with proper care and attention that human beings won't regularly live to 150 years old. Which is amazing until you remember that we get a set number of brain cells, right? Which we only lose. You can't get them back. So in the future, there's going to be 15 billion people on the planet, you know. Half of them are going to be over 100, and they're all going to have Alzheimer's. It's going to be like Dawn of the Dead. It's going to be fucking... horrible. My auntie died of Alzheimer's. I don't know how you die of Alzheimer's. She forgot to live. I've been looking into infant mortality rates recently. For research. It's not a fucking fetish. Like, a child born today in the UK has a percentage chance of survival of 99.8%. Which is incredible. I thought, is that just the mollycoddled West? And I was putting in third world countries. And even in Africa, it's like 96.5%. In the wilds of Africa, where everything wants to fucking eat a newborn baby, babies are vulnerable enough, aren't they? In Africa, a baby can be born in a mud hut. There's a lion outside. It's covered in blood because they can't wash it. They've got no water. Oh, and it's already got AIDS. Now, by the time that joke goes on Netflix... it'll be nuanced, there be an underlying satirical point, I'll claim. But until then, all I've got is, baby's got AIDS. I know that it's funny. I just have to work out why. You can't always find an actor with the same disability as the person they're portraying. They're fucking actors. What if they did a biopic of Helen Keller, the deaf, dumb and blind girl? Well, what's the chances of finding a deaf, dumb and blind actress who can play that role? And if you did, you go run into the director and go, we found a deaf, dumb and blind girl. What did she say? She didn't even answer the fucking phone. Oh, don't get me started. Cultural appropriation. Have you heard of that? Cultural appropriation. The latest no-no. Now, again, in my day, it was considered a good thing to swap ideas with other cultures, with other nations, to share things with other races, to assimilate. It was the opposite of racist. Now it's racist. Gwen Stefani got in trouble in her last video because she had her blonde hair in dreadlocks. People go, no, black people invented dreadlocks, you can't have them, you're white, that's racist. Jamie Oliver got in trouble when he put out authentic jerk chicken recipe. People go, no, black people invented that, you can't have it, you're white, that's racist. Now, black people, they use the N-word, don't they? We invented that. You can get sued in this country for saying someone's gay if they're not, you know, which is a homophobic law, because you can't be sued the other way around. You can't be sued for saying someone's not gay if they are, which seems unfair, doesn't it? Like, I could go up to Britain's biggest gay and go, all right, Alton, all right, and he'd love that, he'd fucking love that. If that's your game, you want to be top of the pile, so to speak, right? I go, all right, Alton. You go, yeah. I go, ha, 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 you're not a gay. You go, I bloody am. Right? They go, I'm going to sue you. I go, you can't. You can't. You go, but know that I am gay. I go, I don't believe you are. You go, well, come on with me and see the shit I do if you don't believe me. I promised you more about China, and this is an amazing statistic, okay? This is true, look at that, right? In China, there are 10 million Chinese paedophiles. 10 million Chinese paedophiles in China, and there's not enough kids. Because they've been restricting the birth. There's all these poor pedos, and they're going, where's all the fucking kids? You know, fuck me, we're having to double up here, and I just thought of a joke then, I can't do it. It is actually too offensive. Okay, all right, I'll do it. But remember, you can't choose your own thoughts, okay? And I just had this thought, right? Chinese paedophile goes up to a little Chinese kid, and he goes, do you want a puppy? And the kid goes, I'm not hungry. We're going to be the first generation that future generations are jealous of, right? Because we had it all, and we're using it all up. We're using up all the fresh water. We're using up all the fossil fuel, right? Usually you look back in history and you feel sorry for it. You go, oh, how did they live like that? Oh, how did they get around? No indoor toilets. I've got 9 toilets in my house. And sometimes I just run around flushing them for a laugh. Just so that in 40 years' time, Greta Thunberg has to shit out of a window. I've got 28 radiators. I always have them on full. Then I put the aircon on full, and it sort of settles at about 20 degrees. A lovely... It's how the cat likes it. She loves it at 20 degrees, and I spoil my cat. I love cats. I love having a cat. Think about it, cats are great, but if you let them out, they bring home the most disgusting things. Last week, mine brought home a scouser with herpes. And it wasn't quite dead, so I had to get it by its legs and crack its head against the table.
Ricky's humor isn't just hilarious, it's brutally honest. And believe me, this next clip goes even further.
Hi, I'm Ricky Gervais. With me, Stephen Merchant. Hello. Creators. writers, directors, star of The Office. If you're a fan of that show...
Who isn't?
Yeah, then you've got a treat coming up because it's the entire first series...
Well, if they're a fan, Rick, then they will have already bought the DVD and already seen the show.
Oh, no. Wait, let me finish. It's the entire first series, but with extra bits. We've got interviews of people, it's a retrospective, people talking about it, A-listers, chatting about why they think The Office is genius. Not my words, I do think it's brilliant. Yeah. Do you know my favourite thing in The Office?
Go on. You? Thought as much.
Yeah.
When I first saw The Office, I was struck by how original it was on a bunch of different levels. And I think upon first viewing, I thought, that's really great. And then upon my 38th viewing, realized how genius it was.
My first impression of The Office was that it was a masterpiece, and unfortunately, as time passed by, nothing interfered with that glow.
It was so fresh and new in terms of the style, and for me, it reminded me of a style of humor that I think in Spinal Tap, Chris Guest and those guys created. I saw that show and I was like, this is incredible.
When I first saw The Office, I thought, finally, there's something funny being done in the world.
I think the thing that I was most struck by is how original a character David Brent was. I've never seen a character in a movie or in television who is that obsessed with what people think of him. And I think a lot of the comedy comes from that. He's got way too much self-awareness.
I can have a joke and a laugh with the people who, I'm supposed to have authority over, and they love me for it. And all that obviously is always, you love watching Brent, but you don't want to be Brent, you want to be Tim.
That didn't happen by accident. It didn't happen because of my overwhelming charisma. Do you know what I mean? It happened because they wanted Tim to be the kind of, I suppose, the emotional focus, or at least they wanted him to be the audience, yeah. And he was,
Apparently they had a completely different idea when they were writing it of the sort of person that Gareth would be. He was supposed to be a much bigger, more macho kind of guy, and so I've heard that when I came in and auditioned, they changed their mind.
Because if you're genuinely physically scared of somebody, if it had been Tim and Lee, that kind of character, then you just think, I think he's going to hit Tim. He's going to beat him up, Whereas it's kind of Tim and Gareth. You think there's a man who thinks he's Napoleon.
Every single one of those characters is so perfectly cast and in a sort of new, informal way.
Hello, Ryan, Hogg.
And Dawn, just the perfect look, the perfect pitch. Not so fabulous that, of course, everyone will be in love with her, but you slowly fell in love with her while you watched her.
I've got kind of hot hands, sorry.
Right, just don't touch my head. With Dawn, sometimes I wanted to give her a bit of a shake, because she didn't pursue the guy that she really did want to. The camera is like another character in The Office. It's a whole other member of our show, because it added so much depth, I think, to what people said and did.
Obviously, one of the key aspects of the show was the sort of documentary style, and that had sort of been born out of how we'd originally got it made, and we shot something in a little documentary style, and we did that because it was a very quick way of filming. You can get a lot done quickly in a documentary style. You've got to worry about the finesse. And then over time, we realised that the whole sort of documentary boom that was happening at the time, the sort of docu-soap, things like Driving School and the Airport programme, were throwing up these amazing characters who suddenly were acting in a very specific way because of the fact they were being filmed.
I think the most extraordinary thing about the documentary format, obviously, was Ricky's performance with the camera. That you had his ghastly behaviour, and then on top of the fact that he thought that his ghastly behaviour was absolutely excellent and cool and interesting and complicated.
To the stage where they could actually make it. That's what made it a success, that they knew exactly what they were doing.
We didn't want anything sexy or cool or rock and roll. It was all anti that.
The opening titles, they just blew me away. I remember first time I saw it.
Only Ricky can take the obvious and make it wildly funny. You won't believe what's coming next.
First things that Ricky ever did as the David Brent character, he had a couple of scenarios in his head that used to play out for me when we worked together. One of which was his character, his sort of seedy boss character, interviewing a woman and his slightly lascivious, lecherous
Yeah.
manner, which is actually something we downplayed in Brent. Brent, in the original form, was a lot more seedy, perhaps, than he later became. But certainly that scene where he's interviewing the girl.
Brent doesn't think that that's creepy. He thinks that's romantic. He thinks he's a bit of a Lothario. He's thinking he's setting the mood for love. He doesn't think this is seedy or anything, does he? So he thinks she's going to go, "You're the most interesting man I've ever met. And you're handsome with your little beard."
One of the things is it's a great physical performance by Ricky. You know, I mean, obviously the gestures have now become slightly over well known, the tie and the looks to camera. But he does sometimes, every so often, he will do bigger stuff. He'll be when a woman's around, as opposed to the way he'll be when someone who he's frightened of will be around, some higher status person will be around.
Regular guys working in an office instead of a factory or being a mechanic. And what we did was we showed the difference between the two lad, but he knows it's wrong. And he knows this thing, sexism, he's heard of that, and he knows about misogyny, he knows all those things, he knows all the isms, he just doesn't really fully hate having a woman as a boss. Deep down he hates it. And he hates being undermined anyway by a woman. He hates being undermined by anyone in front of the camera. So it just, his world just implodes in that episode. One of the other themes in The Office is comedy itself. You know, you get a lot of things off your chest. We had a go at people just shouting catchphrases.
Ricky, leave it!
Props, just bringing in a funny thing.
I would have enjoyed watching Tim and Dawn and their journey because it didn't seem implausible and it didn't seem unreachable. They made it feel as if you could have these little things inside you, these little stories that can come out, rather than it being this glossy Hollywood love story where they all end up brilliantly happy, but everyone's unbelievably rich and beautiful and in, you know, sunny lands, and it doesn't feel like where we are, you know what I mean? And so I think I would have enjoyed seeing it play out.
For someone like me, the romantic drama, particularly of the great Christmas special, you know, is one of the great romantic comedies of all time, one of the great romantic stories of all time. I mean, I think the very best sitcoms have had profound things at the bottom of them. I suppose that's what makes them good.
All of my favourite shows have always had a sort of romantic strand in them, whether it be Northern Exposure or Moonlighting or Friends. And I think it's one of the reasons, one of the things we liked is the kind of soap opera feel that the best of those shows have. You know, soap opera not being a sort of a damning phrase at all, that actually there's something about watching from week to week and building an understanding of that world and caring about those characters that's very unique to television. And a lot of British comedies don't seem to do that enough, and it seems strange. You know, you're coming week after week, so you can draw people in, and so we were very keen to have that romantic thread, because we knew if we just kept going, it would just become the sort of beating heart of the show in a way.
The supporting cast were actors, but sometimes it just said in the script, man one, woman one. And we gave them all names anyway, just in case it popped up, because we wanted that realism. They came in every day, they were sat in their seats, and they'd really be typing. And then one thing in the script said, someone leaves a message on his answer phone, and it was Ewan, and he was just cracking us up.
Hello, I'll call you tomorrow.
One of our pet hates was exposition, where someone walks into a room and goes, Jonathan, you know your sister, the one that went to the Gambia, who's a doctor? Yeah. But we found out that we could do that with Keith. Because of his strange, laconic tone, he could remind the audience what had happened and what was embarrassing. So,
with me taking a bite into the Scotch egg, we're talking about watching peak practice. Boring, isn't it? Just staying in watching peak practice with your life.
Yeah.
Not for me, I like it.
Yeah, just stay.
That was so good. That was so good.
Something would put us off, or something would go, and one of us would always kind of crack and lose it, and we just couldn't get it right.
Ever felt guilty for laughing? That's the magic of Ricky. And trust me, it's about to get even better.
We got through 3 or 4 Scotch eggs, and eventually they had to give me ones back that had a bite taken out of them because they didn't have enough bought for the number of takes it took. So a couple of times I had to disguise a bite that had already been taken out and go in again. Boring, isn't it? Just staying in watching Pete practice with your life.
Yeah, it is.
Not for me, I like it.
Yeah, I just stayed in at a big...
It was one of the 400,000 scenes that we couldn't do in under 4 hours because it was just a lot of laughing, you know.
I was the worst corpser of all. Yeah, I mean, it's strange because my job is to try and make people laugh for my own amusement, but sometimes that goes wrong and I can see fear in their face. Or I found myself funny and I'd laugh and ruin a take. Also, even if you've written the lines, if they're funny, I still laugh.
What's the difference? A dwarf is someone who has disproportionately short arms and legs.
I'm so sorry.
What's the difference? A dwarf is someone...
Fucking hell!
You can't help corpsing. You can't help. You can help putting people off and making them corpse. But if someone finds something funny, you know, I celebrate that, really.
I thought I found a lump. I examine myself regularly. I get checked out. It's fine, but terrifying. Testicular cancer. Cancer of them old testicles. What's that?
Oh, that was a great one.
We'll do it again.
Please.
We'll do it again.
Damn.
Steve came over once in the office and said, Rick, it's like making your own TV show isn't interesting enough for you. You've got to have other things going on. And so, I do, you know, I multitask. I try and get something in the can, and I try and ruin the take for my own amusement.
9.99 pure silk, so I had to snap it up. Okay.
He can't stand to do the same take twice, and so he would change something about it every time.
Action! 5. Just when you think he's crossed the line, Ricky shows there's no limit. Get ready for this one.
Action.
And Wally Burton, 2 for 10 quid, so I went, yes please.
Something would have to be different, and that was the thing that would crack you up.
And, you know, Deaf Nobby Burton, who comes around with a case, 2 for...
Why are you making it harder for yourself?
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll just say Nobby Burton, who comes around with a case. 2 for 10, I got 4.
I think sometimes he'll improvise an idea that will amuse him and that will amuse someone else. And now Ricky thinks, right, okay, I've got them now. And then he will just keep going. He just thinks, well, this for my own amusement. Even though we're making a TV show, the clock's ticking, we're losing money, and we've got to get it on BBC Two. He's thinking, no.
That probably contributed to making it so funny as well, because it was so fresh. Each one of those takes that finally got into the series was unique.
I've only just reached a point where I can watch it now and enjoy it and not really be thinking about how it was made or what he was doing that day that was terribly annoying. Now I start to see it, I think, for the first time as audiences do, and I can't remember some of the episodes, I can't remember some of the scripts. Jokes amuse me now for the first time, and so I've just got to a point where I can sort of see it and enjoy it. And now I feel more proud perhaps than I did then, because I really feel excited when I see a little clip of it somewhere, because it just feels such a three-dimensional world. I think that's the thing you're always trying to chase as a writer, is a world in which people believe those characters exist and that somewhere they're out there, and that, I think, you know, is its sort of greatest, for me at least, our greatest achievement.
Yeah, I mean, I've only got fond memories of everything from meeting Steve to winning the Golden Globes, you know.
What I think really, has changed American television is that by bringing over an American version of The Office and really staying true to the tone of the original, and then it becoming a success in America, has totally revitalized comedy on television in the States.
I keep it on in my house sometimes just for comfort. I just keep it on. I'm not even necessarily watching it. I'm just sort of listening to it because I find it comforting to... That sounds weird. Yeah, I keep my pants on.
Staggered at how successful The Office has been worldwide, and I think that what I love about it the most is that the characters are essentially the same in the remade shows. Brent is still Brent, and Tim and Dawn still Tim and Dawn, Gareth still Gareth, even though the names aren't the same. The characters essentially are
At one time or another, every bloke in the office is woken up at the crack of dawn.
What?
Lâche réceptionniste. Ça va?
Ah oui, oh, viens. Anne, viens. Oh oui, viens, Anne. Oh, viens!
À la camita.
Il est chiant, il arrête pas de me mettre du fromage partout dans mes affaires.
Pero mire, pero cómo hay a desperdiciar comida, hombre, por Dios. Pero cuánta gente.
Ricky's sharp humor hits hard, but you can't help but laugh. Get ready for the next round of laughs.
Puede alimentar.
I thought I found a lump.
Realmente me encontré un poro de una cuestión re fea.
Cancer des testicules. Une petite testicule.
C'est quoi? I look back and there was that romance with writing our first sitcom, but I couldn't be proud of The Office. I honestly couldn't be proud of The Office, even if it hadn't won any awards and hadn't done. I think that I was proud when we'd finished writing it. I knew that we'd done our best, and it's the first time I've ever tried my hardest at anything as well.
There was nothing really about that job, the entire job, that was not very enjoyable, especially in hindsight, because you come away and you do lots of other jobs. I've done lots of jobs before and lots of jobs since, and as always, you don't fully appreciate things when they're going on. You forget that this isn't all going to be as much fun as this.
I haven't worked on anything that was such a joy to work on since. I've worked on some great stuff and had a great time, but there was something very special about that, about working on that, and we knew it.
Bold, brilliant, and absolutely hilarious. That's Ricky. And he's only getting warmed up.
That particular job was full of nice people, funny people, smart people, and people that I was glad to see every day. And sorry when that ended.
I'm still proud of it to this day, and people ask me about it the whole time, and I'm always happy to answer their questions, because it was a very important part of my life and still is.
Ricky's humor isn't for everyone, but it's definitely unforgettable. Did this one make you laugh too?
My biggest ambition from a young age was to write, honestly, was to write and be involved with a sitcom that would be thought of, fondly, and possibly even amongst, the sort of much loved sitcoms. And I feel like to some degree we've achieved that. And so now I don't know what I'm doing with the rest of my life. Now I've got to sort of recalibrate my expectations. Now I'm just filling up the hours before I die. That's why I'm here today. That's not gloomy, is it?
But you got voiceover work, though, haven't you?
You've got some voiceover work, yeah. That's some voiceover work. Bart, please.
Sell out. Comfy. It's a difficult one with a hero, isn't it? Because I think a hero should be someone who saved your life, or a relative, or someone who donated their kidney. If it's someone you've admired for a long time and made you think, maybe even changed your life, I'd say it was David Bowie. The Office sort of broke in England. You get invited to all these things. Do you want it? No. Do you want no? Do you want no? None of those. Oh, we're having a talent night at the BBC. No. I turned everything down. Okay. And then one came through, VIP audience with David Bowie. Now, Bowie has been my hero for about 30 years. So I went, yeah, all right. So we went along, me and my girlfriend. It was amazing. Went the green room afterwards. There's various people there. And Greg Dyke, then head of the BBC, comes over and goes, "You're a fan, aren't you?" I went, "Oh, I love Bowie." He went, "Come and meet him." I went, No. He went, "No, come and meet him." I went, "Oh." We're walking to see Bowie. He goes, Salman Rushdie joins us. So there's me, Greg Dyke, my girlfriend, Salman Rushdie. We go down and meet David Bowie. Mental. Okay? Next day I'm in the pub with my mate Johnny, and he goes, "What'd you do last night?" And I went, "Oh, what would I say?" I was hanging out with David Bowie and Salman Rushdie. What did you do? So I didn't say anything.
What made me want to do a British sitcom? Well, as you probably know, my background's in serious acting. before I started doing the writing, singing thing, and so something like doing the extras is a piece of cake for me, really. And it was fun working with Rick, showing him pointers, maybe new ways of approaching comedy that he hadn't really thought about before, I think.
And he knew I was then. I think someone told him afterwards, and they gave him a DVD of The Office, and I got an email out of the blue from him. He's like the FBI. He just got my email. I think he's like plugged in to the World Wide Web, and he just put, "I watched, I laughed, what do I do now?" And we became sort of pen pals.
When we came up with the idea of doing a song, he said he would do the lyrics with Stephen. And I said, that would be great, I'd love that to happen. And I'd do the melody.
I sent him the lyrics to that, and I said, oh, can you give me something like, quite retro, like Life on Mars? And he went, oh yeah, I'll just knock off a quick fucking Life on Mars for you.
If you keep looking like that, your face will stay like it. That's really quite a zinger, isn't it? And that kind of thing, you see. So, you know, I've been writing jokes for him, and he assures me they'll be in the future episodes. So it's been very fulfilling, this whole experience.
What are you doing?
It's a hobby. You play golf.
Not in a business meeting, I don't.
Maybe you should.
What?
I don't know.
Clive, what are you doing?
It's just something I thought I'd do, okay? And if I was to put a record out and get a bit of profile...
A record out? Take the wig off. Don't you think you're a bit too old to become a pop star?
I'm 32.
You're 37.
Call it 35.
Big trouble in Little China Girl.
That's not bad.
Jeez.
He invited me to do...
I was on tour in the United States back in '89, and we did a show in Cincinnati. During that show, I shouted out, "It's great to be in Cincinnati." That was a lie.